All right, it looks like it's allowing me to prepare a live stream for YouTube Live, which I've never used before, so this will be fun. And I'm going to make a comment.
I love that you're giving us the play-by-play.
Well, I have to. I mean, how else am I going to do this, right?
I mean, to us.
Oh, Jesus. And now I got to mute myself here so that I don't hear myself. That's annoying. And I'm going to share the live stream link with you guys in the chat right now, and you can send that to people if you want. If I can figure out how to chat. Why do I not know how to chat? God, I hate everything. I hate the world right now. This is so annoying. Oh my God. Okay. Close that. Back to here. All right. Well, I'm just going to send it that email. I'm just going to send you guys the YouTube link in that email. And I'm going to
even see you on my Facebook right now.
Well, because it's not on Facebook. It's on.
No, I'm just saying I don't even see you on my Facebook right now.
Like, don't see me. Like, I don't exist. Like, I disappeared.
You disappeared.
I'm just a figment of everyone's imagination. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's going on here. All right, I'm going to make a note on the page. Go to YouTube.
I see you on my Facebook right now. Like, don't see me. Like, I don't exist. All right. So now, how do I share? Like, I disappeared. You disappeared. I'm just a figment of everyone's imagination. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's going on here. All right, I'm going to say. I see you, obviously.
Having technical difficulties. Go to YouTube Live. We are there.
Jesus.
People are so depressed right now. They're just like, come on, man. All right. Okay. I just posted that there. And I'm going to post that on my page. And then we'll just do this YouTube Live, which means the comments might be flowing from us. We might be commenting for ourselves here.
Damn it.
Oh, good. So, all right. It's all good. We're recording. We're going to make it happen. I will pull up the rundown. Got that. Got Zoom. All right. All righty. Well, we can either wait for Omar or we can start right now. I can check it. You guys should we check in and see where he's at? Or we
sure,
can just start
that sounds good.
without him. All right, cool. All right, hold on. All right. All right, let's see what he says. All right. I'm going to pull up YouTube just to see if anyone's actually going to get it from YouTube here. No, I don't want to try for YouTube Premium. I've told you that 9,000 times. Nobody does. Let's see here.
All right, I posted it.
All right, cool. I'm signed in. All right, there we are. Beautiful. I got that open. Live chat. There's 3 people watching right now, so someone figured it out.
I posted it on my page.
Ah, look at you. Look at you.
I try. Because you know how technically savvy I am.
All right, he's coming now.
I still use a pen and paper.
Hey, we're making this happen. Hey, on the positive, the YouTube channel that we've literally haven't built yet, like people are going to start subscribing to. People are going to start subscribing. It's getting built. It's getting built. It just got built. 4 people are already watching. Look at that. It might be me. It's us 4 is what it is. Here comes Omar.
Oh, it's 4 times watch.
So it's us 4 right here. That's exactly who it is. Who's watching.
Our viewers are going to be very upset.
They are. Oh, man.
It's all right.
It's all good. These things happen.
I know. Whatever.
Yeah. You know?
Earthquakes.
Oh, here comes Omar. All right.
Oh.
Admitting
all
Omar.
All is good in the world. All is good in the world. Omar's here.
Yep.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Omar.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Ryan, what's up, man?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. Sorry I held you guys up there. I was having a conversation with my brother, and it was too good for me to stop. I'm sorry. It was good. It was a good learning process.
No problems.
Okay. All right, Mike. I'm ready to go. Sasuke, I'm ready to go. Thank you for waiting.
No worries, man. We had some technical difficulties anyway. We're live on YouTube right now because I couldn't get on Facebook Live. Couldn't make it happen.
Good adjustment.
Yeah, it's a good adjustment considering there's 73 subscribers on the YouTube page that's literally not fully built yet. So that's it's gonna be a nice one-sided conversation here. Should we do this? Let's do it. All right.
Can't we post this to Instagram too?
Yeah.
Can you go live?
Oh, you know, IG Live. No, you can't post it to IG Live too.
Why?
Because
why
it's
do I have
phone,
to sit here and watch people do like makeup tutorials on Instagram?
It's phone only, which is really annoying. Hold on. Talk to the Instagram celebrity. He knows all about Instagram. Ask Omar these questions.
Yeah, I don't know if you could do Instagram Live through here, honestly, but YouTube should work, and the audio will be saved anyway. So
yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, we're all good. All right, let's do this. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Majid, live from my bunker in Palm Desert, California. With me is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, Pro GK Academy. You know him as Omar Zini, and just some fan that we found and decided that he wanted to come on the show. Actually, no, U17 national team pool goalkeeper, Notre Dame commit, Bryan Dowd. What is up, guys? We've been having some technical difficulties, haven't we?
For the past 2 days. I mean, yesterday I couldn't be on because all our power went out after our earthquake. It's the apocalypse. I don't know what to tell you.
It's literally the apocalypse. And the funniest thing is like, so Dowd reaches out and he's like, man, by the way, he leaves like the most amazing message. And I'm like, oh man, we got to get you on the show and stuff. And he's like, yeah, that'd be so awesome. I'd be so excited to get on the show. And then we get him on and he's like, oh, this is how you treat guys who, is this like the JV version of Inside the 18? Like it's like the technical, like the wireless isn't working.
This is the quarantine version of Inside
the quarantine version of Inside the 18.
Like we're out of our studio, the whole 9 yards. So
it's going well though. You got a New Jersey back there, Sask. What is that?
That's the replica, the T-shirt that I'm so not a salesperson, but like, so we came out, the whole 99ers and everybody with one of the companies, Icon Sports. You can go and you can get my jersey and everything from 99, but it's got the 4 stars on it and everything like that. So my T-shirt, so my, it's nothing we had in 99. My parents have never been able to go online and buy a T-shirt with Weber on the back of it or anything. My times have changed.
Yeah.
So, it's really cool. So yeah, Icon Sports, and, you can get Mia's, you can get Michelle Akers, you can get anybody from the 99 team. It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. It must be nice for people to buy a jersey with your name on the back. I've never felt that before. Meanwhile, Omar's like, he's like, I'm literally wearing something right now with my name on it. It's just no. Look at what Omar just did. Look what Omar did.
I love the background.
So listen, Omar, you weren't on yet, but I told him, see my John McCain hat? Okay, I got this on the ship in Japan, and the reason why, because I don't have anything Notre Dame. The reason why is the captain of the John McCain went to Notre Dame.
Wow, so very deep, very layered.
That was my tie-in. I was like, how do I give a shout out?
That was that's a solid tie-in. By the way,
I was seriously thinking.
I love it.
By the way, usually with guests, we'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, we should probably start getting to the topic. But like Brian's a huge fan of the show. He's an insider himself. So he's like, this is kind of why I wanted to be on the show. I just honestly wanted to go through all of this, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's never any pressure. There's never any pressure for our guests. We just come on here, we chat goalkeeping, and it's just a free flowing conversation, which is what we love.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah,
dude. And speaking of that, honestly, I just honestly appreciate just everybody like Brian themselves, who's an insider, who's been rating, reviewing, subscribing. I mean, you guys are amazing. I mean, dude, Dowd, that's how we connected, dude. It's like, you reached out and I was like, my God, this guy, he's so genuine. He's so honest. And I'm like, oh, he's good. Oh, he's good. We can actually have him on the show too. Cause it'd be cool. If like, it's like, oh, that's really sweet. That's a really nice message. And then he's like, yeah, I play for like this Flight 3 team. I'm like, oh, okay, well, gotta find a story for you. But it's like, yeah, he's like, I'm playing football and soccer. And I'm like baller at both. And I'm going to Notre Dame.
Like an hour discussion about that. Mike, you and I.
I think we did.
Dude, he's playing football and soccer for Notre Dame. I'm like, how is that possible? I'm like, they're the same season and it's Notre Dame football. I'm like, I've seen Rudy. I'm like, it's kind of a commitment.
So before we go, guys, I don't want to, I usually don't like to lead reviews, during the live episodes, but we got this listener review and I really want to read this one out. And this one goes, the best goalkeeper podcast out there, 5 stars. And it comes from some guy named Bryan Dowd. And it goes, found out about it a few months back and have listened to pretty much everything since. It's hard finding a podcast that can be informative at a high level while also being entertaining, and you guys do that. Some of the guests are amazing, like yourself, and provide great insight. I love how the podcasts are something I've listened to while in national team camp. All right, humble brag, but also something I recommend to some of the younger goalkeepers that I know. Anyway, all the best and keep up the great stuff. BD, man, awesome. This is honestly, man, I wanted to read it out loud because I wanted the insiders to hear, man, because like it really means a lot to us, man. It really means a lot to us when people of your level are listening to the show and benefiting from it. So thank you for honestly from the bottom of our heart. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you to you guys. I mean, I've picked up so much from, the psychologists, the goalkeepers you've had on, the coaches, and it's helped improve my game. So it's a two-way street.
Love it.
Yeah. Speaking of 2 ways, that's a great segue, Brian. I love how you just did that right there. Today's topic is how goalkeepers can balance multiple sports. So let's just kind of get into this right now. For a lot of people out there who might be, parents out there who are listening, who aren't familiar with the vernacular that we use and everything like that, like Dowd, in your words, like what defines a multi-sport athlete?
Honestly, a multi-sport athlete is just anyone who plays multiple sports at a somewhat high level. It can be anything from pretty much any sport out there. If you play both of them, then you're a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a pretty simple way to put it. Omar, obviously, you have people coming up to you all the time, on the Instagram channel, and they're asking consistent questions about like, hey, can I play baseball? Can I play basketball? Do I just have to be a goalkeeper? All that sort of thing. And I know a lot of times you kind of bring up to them kind of like the benefits of being a goalkeeper playing multiple sports, right?
For sure. Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing that I try to tell them is, yes, there's going to be times where one of them is going to have to take priority over the other sports. But while you are playing the sports, let's say you're doing 2 sports, 3 sports, try and figure out the similarities and the common ground that you can, pick off of those sports. So, for example, we talk about basketball a lot, Mike. Going up for a rebound, get the ball at the highest point. Going up for a cross, get the ball at the highest point. If you're in, playing transition 2-on-1 defense, figuring out how to angle your body and, cheat the game and make the players kind of do what you want them to do. Same thing with the 2-on-1 or 1v1. It's kind of showing the forward a picture that you want them to see. And then from there, once they try to hit it near post, you've already showed them the near post, so you're there to go. So again, it's the importance of understanding the 2 sports and what similarities you can draw from each.
Yeah. Saskia, she talks about this. I mean, one of the reasons, Brian, why we wanted to have you on is because literally, I think every episode Saskia brings up multi-sports. So I was just like, at some point we're going to have to get somebody on who's doing this. And it's one thing for like kids to hear like us talking about playing multi-sports. It's another thing for them to hear from somebody like yourself who's playing at a high level and is kind of around their, peer age and going kind of through those struggles right now. So, Saskia, what can you kind of tell us in regards to cross training and how it benefited you when you were growing up to become, the athlete that you are?
Well, I mean, like, as you know, like I was recruited very heavily for lacrosse in college, but at that point I had already started my introduction into the U.S. national team and stuff. And so it did come down to a choice. And it also came down to a choice because lacrosse is in the spring and my entire spring semesters at Rutgers were spent on the road at the Algarve Cup or, in camps and stuff like that. So it wasn't a possibility. And at that point I wanted just to focus on soccer. But the cross training was everything. I wasn't, a lot of people are like, oh, were you a goalkeeper in lacrosse too? No, I wasn't. I was a center. And it was everything for me. It was the getting that fitness in the spring, the running, eye-hand coordination, shooting, scoring, seeing different angles from a different perspective. I was also an all-state swimmer. So I was an overachiever.
Yeah, I was literally going to say, the funniest thing is like yesterday I was talking to Sarah Farnham, who played at UCLA, a high level athlete herself. And we were talking and your name came up when we were talking about her. And she's like, Saskia's just one of those people who I feel like if you just like, she's like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Just give me the ball, tell me the rules. I'll figure it out and I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of,
so like the cross training for me was just whether it comes down to I love swimming and part of my rehab when I was going through a knee surgery, not ACL, but knee surgery in Japan was I was in the pool, whether it was doing 100, 200 laps in the pool and running in the pool and then getting out and lifting weights and being on the bike and having the ability to like kind of tap back into that when I needed to and having those tools. It's also mentally awesome, to be honest with you. You got to take a break, man. You got to take a break from soccer. You got to be around different things. My mom wishes I would have stuck with tennis. I had a private tennis coach and everything like that. I didn't like tennis. It was an individual sport and I love being on teams. Although maybe I should have stuck with it monetarily. But all those things help you like take a break. And I tell all my goalkeepers now, I tell even the UCLA goalkeepers, like, go play basketball, go for a swim, go, for a bike ride, go do something else. Don't always just play soccer, else you're gonna overload yourself and you're gonna burn out. So
yeah, do you think that's helped you not burn out with goalkeeping?
Oh, totally. Oh, sorry.
No, go. No, it's you.
Yeah, it's you, dude.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I would say it definitely has helped me not burn out. Being a high schooler, you don't want to be focusing on either school or soccer all the time. I think it's great to be able to take a break, do something that you enjoy, that you don't really have to put much thought into, and just let your mind be at ease and not have to be at the high level that you are in both situations. But it's definitely helped me not burn out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it in regards to like the task specificity of goalkeeping, and if you just know goalkeeping, well, like we've talked about it, Saskia and Omar, like you're not going to develop those other muscles. Like, I mean, we always make the translation of basketball and lateral movements and that sort of thing. But like, I can tell you firsthand that a lot of things that I was able to do as a goalkeeper weren't goalkeeper training based, but they were more because of like instinctual from different types of movements I've experienced. So like, Omar, let's talk about cross training for a second. Like, what are some of the best cross training activities that goalkeepers can be making?
In terms of just different sports or
it doesn't even have to be a different sport. It's just different movements of the body. Cause like, that's the thing is like, what do we all think? Do we think that cross training is playing different sports, or is cross training just doing different types of things with your body over and over again? So your body comes comfortable doing different movements.
Yeah, I think it's just activating, different triggers in your body through different sports. And I think, to me at least, it all kind of has to serve its purpose in the goalkeeping position. So for example, like I've recently through the quarantine time, I started doing a lot more yoga and a lot more just body stretching and contorting my body in different ways so that, you know, you loosen the hamstrings up, then your glutes are a little bit looser, then your back's going to get a little bit looser. So it's just kind of finding little things that can maximize your skill level as a coach, as a goalkeeper. And I think I read about Brad Friedel. You know, he played until his late 30s, and he was doing yoga every single day throughout his career. And as you can see, you know, his body has been able to hold up and, you know, contort itself and stretch out and do all this stuff when he's, you know, late 40s playing for Tottenham. And then you had, you know, Gigi Buffon now, who's a workaholic in the gym, and you can see how his body's been holding up. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of really hone in on your skill as a goalkeeper, but through different avenues. And, you know, we talked about basketball, we talk about volleyball, for example. You know, you have to time the ball. You have to make sure when you go and spike the ball, you get up at the highest point and making sure you know where the blocker is going to be and you put it into a certain zone so that no one's there. So you're kind of using your peripheral in that sense, using your plyometrics, using your vertical. So there's a lot of different things in different sports that you can try and to access. And I think as long as you have that approach and understanding of, okay, I'm probably going to play some basketball today. What can I take from this? What can I draw from this? That's going to help me once I get back on the field. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you about the yoga, by the way, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am the least flexible goalkeeper probably on earth. And I paid the price for it. I ended my career with herniated discs. Like, you know, I blew my Achilles after I was retired. Like, I paid the price for that. And so when parents come to me and ask me, like, what else can my daughter do outside or my son do outside of this? And I'm always like, try to get them into yoga like once a week or twice a week. Stretch. Because let's be honest, after you're done with your sessions, Mike, or you know, when do you say, hey, let's stretch for 15 minutes. Let's stretch for 10. Nobody does. Yeah. Nobody does. It's like, all right, peace. I mean, at UCLA and stuff, when you have all the trainers and everything, like, okay, guys, let's walk and stretch and stuff. But at a younger age and stuff, you don't. You're like off the field, you're like, you're back in your parents' car or whatever. And yoga, absolutely. I hate yoga. I hate it. It hurts.
But it works on breathing. It does work on breathing. It works on breathing. And it helps you on so many different fronts that you just go, wow, okay, now, like, you know, if let's say it's a high pressure situation in a game and it's a corner kick, the ball goes out of bounds, can I catch my breath? Because I'm sure something happened prior to that, which made you kind of, you know, your cardio level and your heartbeat, you know, heart rate go racing. So how can I recenter myself with this breathing that I learned from yoga, or like different techniques? So I think it's everything.
I think it's great. I'm just saying I hate it because it hurts, but I'm like, like it hurts because I'm so not flexible, but I tell everybody to do it.
Saskia, one thing, Mike, for everybody on here, I just want to bring up is that I think, Saskia, I feel like you're the perfect example of, you had just such a natural ability with your athleticism to do so many different things. But, you know, when you had, it's like a double-edged sword where, like, you have this athleticism, you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff, but eventually that stuff you got away with is going to catch up to you. And like you said, and a lot of those injuries kind of don't present themselves while you're playing. But as you get older, if you don't develop those good habits, which is why I think a lot of these players either retire young or they continue playing until they're until they're older, because they have those good habits developed. And I'm sure, Bryan, you're very athletic now, but listen to us. Trust me, we're a little bit older than you. And we know that once you get to a certain age, it's important that those are routine. You can literally just step in and do a stretch routine, and then you're going to go play, or you finish training or coaching, you can go stretch. And it's like, it's just natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say, Dowd, you must be ridiculously flexible, dude. Just in regards to I mean, I've been watching a lot of your highlights, you know, from the DA, from the national team. By the way, we got to talk about some of the national team highlights they put up of you, dude. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, you're playing like it's like American football. Like, you're like coming out like, clearing dudes and stuff like that. And I'm like,
definitely.
I mean, I was like, dude, I'd be afraid to come out on this guy now. I see what I was with the national team program. Like, just any like some Brazilian guys trying to dance around you, and you're like, nah, dude, that's not happening here. Show how we do in the shy. That's how we do.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Go.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, you didn't finish.
No, absolutely, I finished, dude.
Trust me, Michael was done. Mike was done.
Otherwise, I'll keep going.
Yeah, but regarding like stretching and whatnot, pretty much every single day I will go in to see my trainer at school, and she will work with me to stretch for about 45 minutes to an hour to make sure to get my body right. And honestly, if she wasn't there to do that every day, I would not be able to play both sports, maybe even one sport. I mean, when you're pushing your body to like the limits, you guys both all know, every single day, you can't sustain that if you're not taking care of your body.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing when I was pro, like, and got more diligent about it as I got older, but I was kind of too late. And so I think, like, you know, I was in with my trainer and she'd stretch me, heat my back, do everything before practices for New York and stuff. But I'm telling you, any kids, parents watching, start now. Just extend your career.
For sure.
Dude, I honestly say one of the biggest mistakes I made was not taking any sort of stretching or flexibility work seriously. I mean, because I probably had like I torn hip flexor, labral tears, all these sorts of things that probably could have been avoided if I just like, because I was that goalkeeper. I was that goalkeeper when I was done. I was like, dude, I'd rather go home and play video games than like spend another 15 minutes, like, you know, rolling out or something like that. Yeah. I didn't want to do that. And you know, as you know, Brian, like, I mean, you know, let's just take football, for example. Like, dude, how much flexibility work do you do before you go out there and start striking the ball?
All the time. So luckily this year, I did not have my last period. So it was a free period. So I'd go into the trainers for about 45 minutes, do all of that. And then once football practice started, I'd do the team stretching for another 15, 20 minutes. And then even a little more stretching on my own before I start hitting a ball. So at least a good hour of stretching before I even touch a ball. Yeah.
Wow. An hour of stretching?
Dude. Probably not a full hour, but you know, some balance work and some chatting, you know.
Dude, you're the most mature high school senior I've ever met in my life, dude. Like,
use this time wisely.
If Michael had stretched more, he would be higher.
I would be taller if I'd stretched more.
Thank you.
That was my problem right there. If I could just go back, dude, if I could like take a time machine and go back and like see myself and be like, dude,
because your head was like this, and so I was like, maybe because you weren't stretching, you'd be taller.
I need to get back up right. It's like,
wait, Brian, you're a punter and you hit field goals as well?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. Your quad, hamstring, all of that's gonna have to be stretched. My brother almost tore his quad because he was a kicker in high school as well, and you could tell just the way his body like slowly became not decaying, but it was like his body at a certain point was like, okay, the quad is going to be bugging me a little bit. Let's go to the groin. Okay, the groin's going to start hurting now. It's like, you know, it's a domino effect. If you don't stretch from one, then eventually you start overcompensating on a different part of your body, and I think that's where the issues come into play.
Yeah, it's definitely like a slippery slope. If you don't take care of the problem straight away, it'll just move on to the rest of the body.
Yeah. Mike, how do you do a lot of like groin stretching, and do you like your adductor and like, you know, as I know that's important for me, like my junior year of high school or college. I remember we played against SMU and it was super, super windy, and our coach wanted me to hit everything forward. So I probably hit about 25 to 30 goal kicks. And that's where I didn't tear my groin, but that's like the early part of the season in non-conference games. By the time the season ended, my groin was done. So, I mean, for you, do you feel like that's something that you've been really honing in on in terms of like strengthening other parts of your body?
Yeah, I think probably the groin and hip flexor have been the two that I've had to take care of and improve in strength, because with kickoffs, it's basically you're trying to hit the ball as hard as you can, and doing that a repeated amount of times in practice. And then when it comes game time, and hopefully your team's scoring a lot, so you're doing it a lot, it takes a pretty big toll. So that was probably the two toughest areas I had to focus on.
Dad, I got a question for you, because a lot of goalkeepers out there, for some reason, it seems like goalkeepers more than any other position. Maybe it's because they see us hitting goal kicks, and so like they're like, oh, you know, you should come out and play football. That's my impression of a football coach. Apparently, they all sound like
it's pretty spot on, honestly. You'd be surprised.
But like, they're like, oh, you should come out, and then they go out there and they're like, dude, this is hard. They're like, this is really hard. Like, so what advice do you give like goalkeepers or any sort of player who decides that like, all right, I'm going to come out and I'm going to start hitting field goals or punting or anything like that, because it is a different sport. And like a lot of people, I think they just go out there and they just go, I'm just going to do what I do on the soccer field and it's going to work. Right. And that's completely wrong.
Yeah. So a little backstory, my first time ever kicking a football was a week before my freshman year. So I thought it'd be pretty easy and I could just do the same exact thing, but I was completely wrong. Like, obviously the leg is involved in all of it, but completely different motion, different follow through. You're hitting the ball, and then punting is just something completely different. I wouldn't say punting is related to soccer like at all. Something I totally had to learn from scratch and acquire the skills.
Yeah. By the way, we just got a very important question that came through the chat right here. This is from Rashid Jurgens, and he wants to know, is it G Fuel or Bang Energy for you for energy drinks? Which one? Which one do you go with?
Me? Oh, I'm a big coffee guy. I do not like
okay.
Sports
oh, that might have been throwing shade at me
for
drinking this right here, right?
Coffee.
Right in front of everybody right here. So that might have been shade at me that I completely went right over my head.
But Mike, even for example with like when we talk about, you know, field goals and punting and all that stuff, like again, just drawing the little things that you can, even with punting, it's important, again, just like we do with our goal kicks, to get our full body behind the ball, square ourselves to our target. And now you're trying to find open space to drop the ball where you want to drop it. And you're trying to, like, you know, measure the risk versus reward of hitting it towards the sideline. You know what I mean? There's different things that you can really try and translate to the game. And I'm sure, Bryan, for you, do you feel like that's something that you've translated kind of well to understanding the kind of the mechanics and understanding how you're supposed to position your body to get your full, I guess, ability and like strength behind the ball?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. With punting specifically, everything has to be spot on to hit a perfect punt. So I think that really helped me realize when soccer and distribution, if I can work on trying to get everything spot on, that I can make a big jump in my distribution. And I think I have. So just learning that, you know, the smallest details matter, and that's try to perfect all of those. I think it's translated well to both sides.
But do you also feel that, okay, so a huge football fan. So the pressure doing a punt in football, first of all, you have everybody coming at you, right? So you have to be able to center yourself, to calm yourself, to focus on what you're doing. So translating that into soccer and being able, you know, you get a lot of goalkeepers that they freak out. You know, they dump the ball to their center back or their outside back just to get rid of it. They shank the ball because it's that, you know, I don't know what to do with the ball and making that quick decision. Do you feel that because of the punting and having like 300-pound, you know, offensive linemen running at you to kill you helps you calm yourself in soccer with your distribution? Yeah,
definitely. Something with punting as well is when you're punting to like a pretty good player, you want to wait as long as possible to get that punt off. So your gunners or the wide guys can try to be close as possible so the guy can't run. So seeing 2-3 people run at me, your natural instinct is obviously to get rid of the ball, but you still have to wait that extra half a second to help out the team and just to hit the ball. Even if it means, you know, getting a flag, getting like wrecked and getting a flag, that's perfectly fine. So it's definitely helped me stay calm under pressure.
Dude, I think we should add that to soccer.
Oh my God.
If you don't get your punt off on time, you can get wrecked.
Dudes just can come in.
Full contact soccer. Like punting.
Well, they're like, if Dowd's going to come out 2-footed tackle.
I should add that. I should be like, hey, kids, you want to see pressure? Ready? If you don't get this punt off corrected in time, tackle him.
But Saskia, to build off your point, I think, you know, when if we can translate that to, again, this is going to be my whole shtick, this whole episode is to translate that to the game. But for example, you know, when the hiker, I forgot his name, the center is hiking the ball to you and you have to catch the ball and punt.
This is how you know Omar's not a huge football guy.
No, I watch football. I completely forgot. But when the center,
the long snapper
there, when they snap the ball to you, for example, when you have to catch the ball. Of course, you have a good punting technique and you have everything you need to do, but before you do any of that, you have to catch the ball, square yourself up, position yourself, and then the technique of the mechanics of how you strike a ball comes into play. So very similar to, you know, I think, like you said, Saskia, in terms of that pressure is when you get that pass back, there may be a guy or sprinting at you from the top of the box, but just like you would catch a snap, same thing with your prep touch, making sure you take the proper prep touch with the proper weight, proper distance. You have
to be calm. You have to be in control.
And that's what I think, though. That's kind of the comparison I'm trying to draw with that is like that pressure and understanding that as long as your prep touch and all of your preparation and technique prior to the actual service is on point, then that's what's going to give you calm and composure in those moments. So I think, again, if anything, it comes down to in those moments of translating certain, you know, pressure situations or certain skill sets from one sport to the next, it's understanding that the proper setup prior to the actual technical use is everything.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. Like, and Dowd, I saw.
And they actually have to turn the ball so the laces are facing the right way. So they got to catch the ball, make sure the laces are facing up or whatever, so they're not facing, because that changes it, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to change the ball. So you got all this pressure coming at you. So yes, I think that absolutely translates into a back pass and into being under pressure and being able to gather yourself.
I mean, dude, I've seen. I mean, look, let's be honest. I think your dad's posted quite a few videos of yourself online right there, which is awesome. That's awesome that he's that supportive and everything like that. But I've seen the differences in regards to the younger Bryan Dowd tapes and the older Bryan Dowd tapes in regards to the distribution. And that's got to come down to that composure. I'm honestly thinking that's a great advice to give a lot of goalkeepers if they have issues with that. Learn how to punt and learn how to deal with that type of a situation in an actual game setting. It's really going to benefit you, man. You're blowing my mind here.
Let's ask you too. Go ahead.
No, just quickly. I think it's also helps greatly with reading the defense in soccer. You got to look down once you grab the ball and you're doing all this stuff like Saskia talked about. But then you got to see, where is this guy? Is he running a bit towards the right? Is it toward the left? Am I trying to put loft on it? Making decisions. Same thing can be done for soccer. You try to put a ball in behind, clip it, line drive. So just decision making, big part of it.
100%. And to finish off this point, I think Mike wants to go to the next one, but
no, it's fine.
When it comes to Saskia, when you were playing lacrosse, like I'm pretty sure your first priority was to catch the pass from somebody, and then from there, once you catch the pass, you're scanning the field automatically.
Absolutely.
Your eyes are up, and exactly what do we do with our goalkeepers? We're telling them, let's say for example, we're doing a simple volley to them, and we're having them move from point A to point B. You got to keep your chest up, eyes up, so that if I do drop the ball a little bit earlier, you're not just trying to get back to a certain point. You know exactly when to set. So same thing, obviously, with lacrosse. And again, we're talking about those cross sports. The idea of using your vision and seeing what's down the field allows you to again assess which technical tool you're going to try and use, whether it's a short ball, like you just said, Bryan, short ball, long ball, driven ball, flighted ball to our striker to flick the ball onto somebody into open space. There's all that stuff, but again, at the core of everything, it's that vision. And from there, then you have all these different tools in your toolbox, and then once you know what to use, then you can access those tools.
Yeah, every pass is with a purpose.
Exactly.
Every pass is with a purpose, and we have talked about. We tell goalkeepers that your distribution is your first pass on attack as a team. And so what is your purpose with it? In lacrosse, I couldn't just dump the ball next to me to Gwen because I didn't feel like dealing with it. I had to use my peripheral. I had to run plays. I had to, try to penetrate the offense and get a shot off. So it's, everything's with a purpose, and it absolutely translates.
Yeah. I have a feeling Gwen was pretty darn good if you were just going to dump off.
Gwen was ridiculous. She still is.
I want to talk about this because, by the way, it's really great that you're talking about in regards to the pass with a purpose from a goalkeeping standpoint. Again, and just how many times I'm working with a younger goalkeeper and they don't understand how important, how critical that first touch is when they get the ball played back to them, because they're so worried about controlling the ball. Bless you. They're so worried about controlling the ball that they're not thinking about the whole purpose of making the touch on the ball is to put the ball in a position to make a better pass to get the counter going or build the team back up again. So I think
it's part of scanning the field. I mean, some young kids are so worried, like you said, about collecting the ball itself. Like you had said, it's, you have to look up and see, is this guy coming to me from my right? So do I have to punt the ball this way? So it's the same thing. Is the kid just collecting the ball to collect the ball? Or is he looking up saying, okay, people are pressuring me from this side, so my first touch has to go to my left, so then I can have an outlet here? Or am I just collecting the ball? Now I need 2 more touches to kind of get rid of the ball. And so you have to focus. And if you train distribution and stuff, put them under pressure. Don't just have a goalkeeper stand back there, knock them balls, have them one touch it and kick it out of bounds. Have some people fly at them. Let them have to make a decision.
Yeah, maybe have them run in helmets. that could be a good idea too.
But also too, I'm pretty sure, Brian, I mean, again, I'm just, my mind is going crazy with all the ideas of how things can translate. But for example, the one thing that I've noticed as well from my goalkeepers is that they're so obsessed with the side volley that they want to catch a cross and immediately run to the top of the box and hit a side volley to somebody just because they've seen it on TV. It's sensationalized from Neuer, Allison Becker, all those guys. So for example, when you have the center snaps it back to you, the first thing on your mind is to catch the ball first, and then you go through your progression of striking the ball. So again, one of those things is like you get a cross or a service into the box, your first priority is to catch the ball, see it all the way through. And then once that like 1 or 2 seconds of seeing the ball all the way through is done, then you focus on the next play. So I'm sure that's something for you too, where you're focusing on one movement and then the second movement comes after you finish the first one.
I have a question for you.
Definitely. Oh yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Go ahead. You go first.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. I got excited. I love football, so I got excited.
But I would just say it's just facing the task in front of you and not trying to jump ahead too much. So just catch the ball, get the laces right, read with the field, see what's going on, then try to get the ball off. Same thing with crossing. You can't just distribute the ball if you're not going to catch it cleanly.
Yeah.
So
going through the progressions.
Exactly.
So when everything goes awry, let's say a bad snap from the long snapper, Omar. A bad snap hits the ground over your head, whatever. Like how many times, you also have to train for that. You have to train to be hit and hit hard.
Yeah.
And do you feel that your goalkeeper training, because what do? We throw ourselves up and down off the ground. In the grand scheme of things, we like footwork better, so you don't have to. But do you feel that preparation as well helps you deal with getting shot, getting a hit?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think working so much with crossing and whatnot and how goal just flying around all the time, your body takes a beating. So when it came to football and having to run an audible, having to make a tackle, having to go up the middle where there's like people trying to tackle you to try to get that first down instead of running out of bounds and doing safe. Those are all decisions that have been made that are now comfortable to me because of just how well soccer has trained me. I'm willing to take a beating just for that. So
nice.
Yeah.
So it works vice versa. It's not just soccer benefiting, football benefiting soccer. It's soccer benefiting football too. Dowd, I actually have a question for you in regards to that. Like, obviously you're considered one of the top goalkeepers in the country in your age group, which is, great. I mean, shout out to you. That's obviously a lot of hard work, but by the way, the fact that you have like a 4.0 GPA or something insane like that, I don't know how you have time to do anything. But do you feel that if you had not played football, you would be where you're at right now as a goalkeeper with the national team and all that, Notre Dame?
I would hope so, but I do believe that football has helped me in just vast amounts all over the place to help me get to this, the way I am now. Time management, all the skills that obviously Omar was talking about with, translating, crossing over. Also, a big thing that you wouldn't think would help you is looking at film. So obviously in football, there's so much prep about the opponent and learning their tendencies and whatnot that I saw that and I started to do with my game. So I'd look, see where we're playing the weekend, try to go on YouTube, see if they have film, see if any of their strikers have like highlights and whatnot, try to learn from that. And then for football, big thing, every Saturday, you'll have about, depending on how well you played, 2 to 3 hour meeting going over the game before. And you go over every single person on the field, every single snap. And applying that to my game, it's helped me learn a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that because, I think youth teams and stuff like that are just starting to do that. And I think with the quarantine and everything, I think more coaches are starting to realize in order to keep their players engaged, let's have them analyze film and stuff like that. But football, that's all football. It's watching video, analyzing the other team because it's a chess game and it's understanding where the plays are going, where the runs are going, where the blockers are pushing people. I told you I love football. And so I think that the more, I'm sure that helped you with soccer. Absolutely, especially as a goalkeeper, to be able to look out and see the movement of the defense and the offense in front of you.
So, question for you: are you Jets, Giants, or Eagles?
Giants.
Jets. Okay.
Giants.
Oh, Giants. So you said Giants.
Giants.
Giants. Okay. You said Giants. Okay.
I love you, Dad. I love you, Damon. I said Giants. My phone's going to blow up in a second.
Go, Omar.
I'm glad I didn't bring up the punt that Deshaun Jackson returned. I don't know how many years ago. It was actually on TV a few weeks ago, and I was watching, and I'm like, I knew it was going to happen, but I just love Michael Vick, and when he was with the Eagles, so I like watching him on the comeback. And he came back, and the punter, I don't know what he was thinking. He should have punted, like you said, Brian. Like there's certain people who not to punt to and what to do in those situations.
Absolutely.
And Tom Coughlin gave it to him. Should have punted out of bounds, but we know what happened after that. But that's one of those situations where he knew he was probably going to get hit, so he let go of the ball too early, didn't let his gunners get down there, and then that's what happens.
Dude, that was one of the craziest plays.
Insane. The whole game was crazy.
And now it is inside the goal line. This is the new
inside the gridiron. Welcome to Inside the Gridiron. But it's a cross-sport athlete show, so that we're going to go that direction. Let's talk about
it's being able to say that, Omar, being able to bring up that return and that punt and all that stuff, and being able to analyze that, and as a cross-sport athlete, to be able to watch football from a perspective of not just a fan, but to be able to break things down, to be able to understand why the defense or why the offense is doing that, or why you're calling an audible, or this and that and the other, like. It all works together, and it all does.
And I've seen even too, like, wide receivers, like, when they're coming back to catch a ball, let's say they do a route and then they turn and they come back to catch a ball. More often than not, they got to slow their bodies down so that they can have the full ability and capacity to have that hand-eye coordination throughout the catch. And how many times have we seen guys turn around, like run back towards the quarterback and not slow their body down, and they can't catch the ball? So same thing we do with crosses or 1v1s or through balls. Like, we have to slow our body down, that fast approach, and slow arrival into the catch so we can access all the hand-eye coordination that we train in practice. So again, it's just like all those little things that I watch now and see. Even in, defenders in basketball, how low are they getting? Are they in a wide base? They're in a narrow base. What happens when there's a screen? How do they read that? There's so many different things that you watch, like you said, from the viewpoint of I'm not just watching this for fun, but I'm watching this to actually gain a little bit more, add a little bit more tools in my toolbox that I can access whenever I need to.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems today, is to be honest with you.
Brian, we're your new coaches.
Yeah.
That works for me.
But straight up though, and I'm sure Dowd will attest to this. Is like, I think one of the biggest problems right now is not just that kids don't play anything other than soccer, is that they're encouraged to not watch anything but soccer.
Yeah,
is that their coaches are telling them, you got to watch in the Premier League this weekend and blah blah. They're like, well, but I was going to watch, the Cubs game against, the Phillies, and they're like, dude, who cares about baseball or whatever? And I think that's wrong, because the thing is, let's be honest, America, we're a little bit different. We have a multi-sport culture, and we're talking about different sports right now, all three of us, and we're all high-level goalkeeper people. Yet, like Saskia was saying, we can break down other sports. And that's only makes us a better goalkeeper coaches, because we can't, or better goalkeepers, because a lot of goalkeepers or goalkeeper coaches can't do that, because that's all they know. So if they see something that's foreign or unorthodox, they start berating it and saying that's not how goalkeeping is, or yada yada yada.
Well, I break down. I told you I put some of my younger players on a pitcher's mound, and I sit as a catcher and teach them how to throw. Like, properly how to step towards the ball, how to use your body, how to step into it when you throw. I give them a tennis ball or a baseball or a lacrosse ball sometimes, and I sit there and you can all ask them. I had to throw the first pitch out at Dodger Stadium last year, and I was throwing off the pitcher's mound to my kids because I was practicing. But you can take something from every sport. That's why being a cross-sport athlete is awesome.
For sure.
Yeah. But let's talk about that, because that's an issue, and I want a lot of young goalkeepers, coaches out there to hear that you need to have better communication, and you need to give your goalkeepers freedom. Give them freedom, because Brian, I'm sure you can attest for this. Sometimes it's been very difficult in your youth career to communicate to other coaches that I want to do other things.
100%, and I would agree. I think there's almost this stigma going around where people think it's better to specialize. The younger you specialize, the better you'll be in that one thing. And I would totally go against it. I think just being able to have it's like a large palette, and I get a little bit from here and a little bit from here. You take a little bit from this. Even though you're not the best at that sport, and maybe you're playing like rec league or church league basketball, you still pick something up from it that can improve your soccer game. But yeah, it's definitely there's been some people who are like, you're wasting your time. You're putting your body through too much. You're not taking anything out of football. You're just doing it for like
the jacket
in your high school. Yeah, exactly.
the jacket.
The patch.
Yeah, but no, there's so much you can learn from other sports, and I think people shouldn't really specialize till they really have to.
I'll tell you a funny story with the national team. We were in training in Florida. I love Florida. And on the weekends, we were in residency. On the weekends, everybody would go do your thing. And I started to learn how to surf. And Tony DeChico, he loved it. He was just like, what are you doing on the weekends? Like, I'm getting away from the team. Like when I had the weekends off, and I was learning with some friends how to surf. And it was awesome. It was really zen for me. It was like being at the beach, being in the water. I was a swimmer, so I loved it and everything like that. I will tell you something, however. When I would come back to practice on Monday, Tony would crack up because he'd start firing volleys at me. And my arms were so tired that they were just like, I couldn't get them up in time from like paddling and everything. I couldn't give up. They were like pinging off my chest, off my face. I was just like, and he was cracking up. He thought it was the funniest thing. He's like, you went surfing this weekend? I'm like, yes, I went surfing this weekend. But it was awesome. Like, I can't sit here and break down surfing for you and how it helped me with soccer, but it helped me emotionally and mentally to have something else and to get away from soccer, still do something physical, and just kind of clear my head.
Yeah. Does that require like really solid rapport and a solid communication with your soccer coaches, so for them to allow you to play other sports? Or do you think it's one of those things where it's like it's your decision and they have to live with it one way or the other? Or do you think there needs to be a symbiotic relationship where they're cool with it too?
No, there definitely needs.
Go.
It definitely needs to be a two-way relationship. And when I first started playing, I made it very clear to them that I'd texted them. I would text my soccer coaches every week, let them know what's going on. And lucky enough for me, there weren't too many times where the two overlapped and I had to choose one or the other. But when it did, I would always choose soccer, just because soccer is my main love and what I enjoy doing the most. But definitely required a lot of communication, texting both coaches, talking to them every time I see them. And even for football, sometimes I'd say, hey, coach, I've got a goalkeeping training session and a team training session early in the afternoon. Is there any way I could probably head out early or maybe take lighter reps today? And just being able to communicate like that so your body doesn't take a beating. It's really important.
Well, I have a question about moving forward to Notre Dame. Okay, so what I have made a comment. I mean, you're number one, you're going, amazing soccer as well as one of the most iconic college football programs in history. And how are you going to balance that? Like obviously you've talked to both coaches and but it's the same season. So like, how are you working that out?
So like I said to Michael before both you two have got on, as of now, I'm only playing soccer,
okay.
But the goal is to hopefully be able to play football. And there's just a lot of things and questions that need to be answered. Like I said, there's the NCAA hours restriction, like
right.
you know of.
Yes.
And having to have a day off. Now do I get 2 of those because I play 2 sports? And can I be rostered for a football game if I don't play in it? Does that count as my day off? There's all these questions there, GPA requirements, time spent, academics. The school has to allow it. The school is obviously very, very focused on academics, and they want one of their students playing 2 sports at the same time. So if I were able to do it, I would definitely take a lot of communication, having people. But when we did talk about it, they talked about having a shared calendar where I'd have every single thing put in that my teachers, soccer and football and academic counselors would all have access to see what my schedule is, to make sure I'm not overloaded and what's going on. So it would take a lot of communication.
Yeah. I mean, were you surprised? I'll be honest with you. I mean, like those are both elite programs for both sports. Were you surprised when both programs were interested in you playing for them?
Yeah, I grew up pretty much like a Notre Dame fan. I have Notre Dame stuff around the house, and Notre Dame was always like my dream school for soccer. I went to all their camps and whatnot. And I wasn't the biggest football fan growing up. I'd watch it here and there. But so I was really excited when obviously Notre Dame soccer took interest in me. But then one day when my football coach pulled me aside at lunch and said, "Hey, I got a call from someone on the Notre Dame football staff asking about you," that really piqued my interest. I was like, wow. Like, because he had said lots of other D1 schools had reached out about me. And he always told them, "I'm going to Notre Dame. No way I'm decommitting. No way." So I was like, oh, wow. This amazing, prestigious program who just came off of losing to Clemson in the semifinal that last year. I'm like, this program's taking interest in me, someone who doesn't do goal or kicking private sessions and all that. Yeah, it's like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was astonished.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I think it's pretty epic.
Thank
I mean,
you.
Look, dude. I mean, it's pretty good. You know who Josh Lambo is, obviously. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, so for our audience who's listening who might not be familiar, Josh Lambo, very similar to you, U17 national team, FC Dallas, played for FC Dallas, and now kicks in the NFL. Which is, I mean, talk about a crazy
team.
Yeah, is he on your fantasy?
Lambo's on your fantasy? This last year he was, yeah.
Oh, for real?
But look at it, like there are a lot of crossover athletes. I'm not just talking about soccer. I mean, look at a lot of football players that
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson, that have gone on to play baseball and everything. Again, though, you're looking at sports that are in 2 different seasons. That's what I'm being a parent right now, even though I only have 3 dogs. That is my biggest concern for you. I'm sure your parents as well, is just the how much pressure that's going to put on you and your time management, because you're also going to one of the best schools in the United States. So, you know, and that's
it's definitely a lot.
And mom, dad, that's the most important thing.
Exactly. Academics first. Always.
Absolutely.
I feel like the Dowd family like sent in a message in the chat board to Saskia right there, like just make sure you
right now. They're like, you better tell him about his academics right now.
Yeah, my mom's a high school teacher, so I'm always hearing from her about academics.
Dude, it's crazy because I brought up the Lambo thing because, you know, obviously, you know, you enjoy both sports, you want to play at the highest levels of both sports. Do you think it's possible to pursue both sports at a professional level?
Honestly, I don't see it happening at the same time. I can definitely see playing soccer starting off, and then kickers in the NFL are pretty old, and if you can just get lucky and you can just be like kicking for fun, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to try out for one of these teams, you might be able to pick up like a contract. But I don't see it happening at the same time.
I mean, like, but Vinatieri's what, 72 years old, and he's still
something like that.
Brian,
look out, Carly Lloyd might be giving you a run for your money.
Exactly. Who knows? We can see her next year.
But Brian, do you feel like has, you know, in terms of like nerves and just high pressure situations, has there been a football game or like a high school game that you've been a part of that was way more nerve-wracking than any soccer game you've been in, or like which one would you think takes the cake on that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm lucky enough to go to a high school is pretty good in the football scene, competitive, one of the top teams in Illinois. So my freshman, sophomore year, specifically my sophomore year, last game of the season, to guarantee a spot in the playoffs, we're down 2. And I think it's about maybe 40 seconds left, and I had to kick a field goal into the wind. That was definitely the most nerves I experienced at that time. But then my junior and senior year, I'd be playing in front of crowds up to 5,000 to 10,000 who would be, cheering my name, cheering stuff at me or against me, and just having an entire other school like cheer something at you to try to like throw you off and get your side of your head definitely makes going to a soccer game and for the DA on the weekend a lot easier.
You mean with the 4 parents and the lawn chairs in the background?
But you know what? That's what we just talked about that.
Yeah.
We just talked about how important we felt it was, number one, to play soccer in your high schools, to have that sense of like ownership and pride and walking down the hallways and if you lose, everybody knows. If you win, everybody knows, as opposed to all your parents in the lawn chairs. And football in front of 10,000 people. Nothing is going to get you prepared more to go into playing pro, playing on the national team, and playing than what you've done in high school. And to be able to be calm enough to kick a field goal into the wind in front of 10,000 people, or to play in front of whatever it was at your high school, like 4,000 people at your soccer games, that is, you can't get that playing at the DA. You can't get that playing at the LA Bulls. You can't get that playing club. I'm sorry, you can't. And I think it's so important. So important.
Yeah,
Bryan, did you make that field goal, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Okay, good.
I automatically assumed. Why would you ask?
I know.
Yeah. I'm ashamed you even questioned it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, honestly, the fact that you've been able to do both. And I think it says a lot about your personality and how organized you are, and making sure that you're able to balance and be successful at both of those sports, which, again, a lot of people, I know they like different sports, but to be able to balance both of those, and to be able to again have that open conversations with your coaches, and like, hey, look, I have training today, maybe take it easy on my body. Just those open conversations, I think, on an emotional and like a communication level, I feel like you're a lot more advanced than most people we've discussed or we've had on who are a little bit younger.
Dude, I'll straight up say this. Like, I mean, sometimes we talk about this in regards to, Omar and Saskia and I, we've talked about in regards to having younger goalkeepers on the show sometimes, because like a lot of them are just, they're not used to, the environment of, being interviewed or, being in front of the camera or whatever, or pressure situations. You're like, dude, I've been kicking goals in front of like thousands of rowdy people from the neighboring town who just want my head. Like, this is literally nothing for me.
But,
and it shows when we talk to you, because you don't get rattled. And I think that benefits you. I think once you get to Notre Dame in soccer, dude, you're going to be so far ahead of a lot of the DA kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Bryan, do you feel like from the experiences that you've had in terms of those high pressure situations, both on the field or on the soccer field and on the football field, do you feel like that's translated well to your interpersonal communication with, let's say you want an internship or you're trying to get a job, when you're talking to people in higher positions, do you feel like these situations have kind of helped you maneuver that?
Yeah, definitely. And something from a young age, probably freshman or sophomore year, my dad had me calling all the schools that I was interested in, calling the head coaches, calling the assistant coaches, and being thrown into situations like that at a young age. It really helped my maturity jump to the next level. And obviously, I mean, if there was recordings of those conversations, if I listened to them now, I'd probably be like ashamed and cringe at like how bad they were. But it was, I learned from them, and those great game experiences helped me today, helped me form lots of relationships with people who I would have not, if not as mature as I am.
Dude, it's
really. I will tell you from just talking to young players that I have to watch how I word this. You know what I'm saying, Michael? Like those conversations with kids that have confidence, that can answer the questions you ask them truly, not like from what their parents told them to do, but honestly from their gut, aren't intimidated, and are confident and on point, makes a huge difference. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. No, but Saskia, like we talked about last episode though, and Bryan, I don't know if you listened to the last episode when we had, I think it was Matt Brown was on. We're just talking about, the impact that, these certain experiences and things that happen in your past, whether it's high school and, having that adversity. Let's say you missed that field goal in the last minute that didn't send your team into playoffs, and having to show up to school and kind of maneuvering through those emotions and kind of figuring out who you are on a deeper level as a person, and how you react to high pressure moments or those moments where you're not as liked as you would like to be. And I think that whether it's through sports or whether it's through, calling coaches on the phone like your dad did, there are so many experiences that a lot of us as kids have gone through that really tell a story about how we are as adults. And it seems like your parents, with your mom being a teacher, and I'm not sure what your dad does, but it sounds like he knew that there was certain things that he needed to instill in you in terms of habits to get those little like trial and error periods over with at a young age, to now where you are, to now obviously you're playing two sports at such a great university. So well on your parents, but good on you to go into every situation and have a positive attitude, because it sounds like you did.
Yeah, thank you. And I can't thank my parents enough for making me putting me into those uncomfortable situations where I had to talk to adults, do something, that was out of my comfort zone. Yeah, it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up the relationships thing in regards to the phone calls with the college coaches, because I don't think a lot of people realize this, that like Omar and I, we were literally talking about this morning in regards to when somebody does something from a personal standpoint, it connects somebody from a visceral level a lot more so than when it's a standard mass message. Exactly. And I think it's just because people realize that there's a direct connection as opposed to, it's about me. Like instead of it, when you're reaching out to that coach, it's about their program. It's not about, it's not about me, and I don't care where I go. I just want you to know how awesome I am, that sort of a thing. So, I think that's really important. And I think that's a way that I was able to develop a lot of relationships with a lot of coaches from an early standpoint, is because I would just call them. And they'd be like, why is this guy, he has no chance of playing at this school. I don't know why this guy's calling us. But then when I met, when I got into coaching and then I met these people again, they'd be like, oh dude, yeah, you're that random kid that I remember that message. Trust me. And you just never know. You never know where these opportunities are going to lead. I want to ask you a question before, and thanks for taking all this time, by the way. I know we're going over an hour right here, or I think we're about an hour right now. Is what mistakes have you seen, keepers make when they're trying to play other sports that you would advise them to not make? Like if you're talking to like a 14-year-old, goalkeeper that's trying to play multiple sports in high school, like what advice would you give them?
I would say realizing why you're playing that sport is pretty important. Are you playing that sport to try to be like the best at it, or like in like a varsity football team or varsity basketball team? Or are you playing rec league or church league basketball with your friends on the weekends? Just realizing like what the level is. Another thing would be expecting for it to come easy. I thought kicking and punting would come super easy to me. It wasn't. It was a difficult challenge and I had to learn how to do it. So just knowing that it won't be easy and you're going to have to work to be good at it is something people should definitely keep in mind.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable advice, because I think most people, and a lot of people, sometimes they just quit something because they're not good at it, and they go, man, you know what? I'm already good at this thing. I don't need to do this sort of thing. But as it sounds like you wanted to go into uncomfortable situations because it was going to only enhance what you were already really good at. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, before we go, we've got somebody here who's extremely esteemed in a lot of different sports. Apparently, even an amazing surfer, and I had no idea that that was that was the case. And before we go, I wanted to just see if Saskia was willing to share how lacrosse, basically getting recruited for lacrosse made her a national team goalkeeper.
Getting recruited for lacrosse.
Yeah. Because that's what you went to. That's what you were going to go to school for.
When I was a senior in high school and all the offers were coming in, and back then, like lacrosse is, it's more East Coast sport and stuff like that. I had to make that decision in high school. Like like I said, I'd already gone on my first trips with the national team and everything. And it just, school for me I'm dyslexic. So school for me wasn't the easiest thing. So I knew when I was in school, I had to focus. Like I had to hammer down. I couldn't kind of pile my plate up with sports. And Princeton wanted me to come to Princeton and play soccer and play lacrosse on an academic scholarship. And because they don't give sports scholarships. And I made the decision that was too much for me. It was too much on my plate. I had to make the decision at that point to pick. And it was hard because I absolutely love lacrosse. My family is a lacrosse family. My brother played at Middlebury. My uncle was an All-American. And so it's definitely a family sport. And I loved it. I loved being a center. I loved scoring goals. I loved it. And so, but the team aspect of that, kind of like what we were talking about, Omar, is like being a center, being a playmaker, setting up the attack, looking for the runs, figuring out how you can best penetrate a ball and throw. I think that helped me as a goalkeeper because I looked I've always looked at goalkeeping offensively. Like, you know, yes, I have to set everything up defensively. Yes, I have to save the ball. But once I save the ball, I'm on attack. And so I've always looked at it that way. And I've always looked to skip the first line and see how I can find the 9, or see how I can even bypass that and send a through ball and get us like engaged in the attack. We don't want the ball in our end, you know? And I think that lacrosse really helped me with that. It helped me kind of read everything that was going on in front of me, the movement of players, the speed of it, eye-hand coordination, and fitness. You know, it was, you know, and women's lacrosse is different from men's lacrosse, where they're, you know, there's no offsides, there's no middies, it's not like that. Like you have, technically, originally, there were no boundaries. So it was all natural boundaries. Obviously it's different now because you play in stadiums and stuff, but so it was the fitness, the team aspect, being a captain, wearing a kilt. No, just kidding. But you know, making that decision also helped me grow up. Like you said, I had to make that decision. I did. You know, like that was left up to me by my parents. You know, my parents love watching me play lacrosse. Do you want to go to school and play lacrosse? Do you want to, you know, soccer? And it was left up to me. And it was up to me to talk to coaches and to say, thank you for asking me to come in and play, but, you know, I'm going to go to school. Ultimately, I went to Rutgers, which is no easy university in its own right. Like, but I only played soccer at Rutgers. And I felt that that was more sustainable for me and more in control for me, because I had to focus so much on my studying and on my deficiencies and everything like that. So I guess if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. Before we go, we just got a big question that just came in, which actually fascinating. I never even thought about this in the comment section right here. And I'm going to ask it to everybody right here. Does playing esports benefit a goalkeeper on the field?
Just playing what?
Esports.
I don't
like
think
FIFA,
so.
like FIFA, all that sort of stuff.
I'm not a gamer.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, all right, Gen Z, Gen Z right here. Let's go with Gen Z right here, huh? Dowd?
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't own an Xbox or PS4 or anything. I don't play video games, so maybe I'd be just a little bit better if I played FIFA or like any other games going on right now. But I think my development's fine without it.
All right.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, it depends on how you conceptualize things. And if you have like a mindset that like you're always looking for different avenues to learn, then maybe you can find something that you'll see in the picture that's being painted to you in FIFA is it looks like, oh, wow, Ter Stegen just did this. Maybe I could do this in my game. Then sure. However, everyone learns at different rates. But for me, it doesn't. But Mike, I think there's one thing I want to say though, like to close off everything for like my thought process is, if you look at, I think, any high-level coach or high-level goalkeeper and you kind of peel back the layers on their development as a goalkeeper and as a person, you'll see so many different influences drawn from different sports. And I think that is something that can't be taken lightly, because I think it's such an important way to understand their thought process as a coach and their understanding of the position and the body mechanics and all that stuff. And also, too, when you talk to a younger goalkeeper, let's say they, you know, play baseball or play tennis, there's a lot of different ways that you can send a different, like the same message that you want as a goalkeeper coach, but through a different way. So, for example, I talked to Chris Sharp, who's the goalkeeper coach at the Colorado Rapids, and he has a very deep history. He had to decide, I think, at 15, whether he wanted to play tennis professionally or play goalkeeper professionally. And so he had to make that tough decision. But then now the crow hop, which is kind of like as that ball is being served, if you guys notice in like Wimbledon or whatever, you watch Federer and Nadal, as that ball is being served, the players aren't in a standstill position. They take a little bit of a hop step prior to get their feet activated. So now they have the ability to make that lateral movement if that serve is 1 step or 2 steps to their left or to their right. So again, think about goalkeeping. When you have that shot as it's coming, whether it's a one-on-one or a shot from the angle, you're doing that little crow hop or that little prep step to get your body activated, to allow yourself to get low or take that step to get down. So I think it's very, very important not to specialize too young, and being able to, as a coach and as a goalkeeper, to watch the different sports and understand the body mechanics from a different perspective. Maybe that may be the mental unlock that you need to understand a certain movement or a certain idea that the coach is teaching you. So that's what I would say is look at all the greats, look at all the best people out there who have prior history and knowledge in different sports and see how they use those sports to conceptualize their thought processes from the goalkeeping perspective and lens.
That's why I've been watching because I want to be. I figured if I can emulate what Michael Jordan does on the basketball court on the goal, I'll be all right.
Yeah, but there's so many different things. Like even the thing that Chris talked about was like, there's times in tennis where you're on match point, double match point, and you're either trying to close it or you're trying to not lose the match. So there's like those high pressure moments where you're trying to figure out, okay, what can I do at this point right here to just keep the ball in play? Like you're talking about beating the game versus just, using a certain technique. So there's like game ethics, and there's so many different things from different sports that you can draw, whether it's mental, psychological, physical, whatever it is.
Yeah. Saskia, anything you want to wrap up on?
Yeah, Michael.
You got a Jordan story. Okay. All right. We'll finish on the Jordan story.
I was joking around with Michael Jordan once, and we were talking about that. You're too young for this probably, but
by the way, I love the fact that you started the story with I was joking around with Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So we were talking about his commercial with Mia, like I'm gonna be like Mike, I'm gonna be like Mia.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, like he got in goal and Mia like shot like, and he like this horrendous like awkward dive, and he was like, yeah, I had so much fun making that. How'd I do in goal? And I was like, dude. I was like, if you ever shoot a commercial like that again, call me, because that was horrible. And he looked at me, he's like, come on. I was like, I can't even go there. I was like, I can't even go there. I was like, to be able to tell Michael Jordan he like sucked in goal was awesome. Because he's just the GOAT. He's the greatest everything of all time. So there's my Michael Jordan story.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think we literally can follow up that story. I think that's just like with Jordan. There's no way to follow up with Jordan unless Omar's got a LeBron story. You got a LeBron story, Omar?
I don't. I have a Michael B. Jordan. No. No,
all right, guys. Well, again, guys, Dowd, thanks for taking the time with us. By the way, if there's any kids out there, I don't know what the NCAA rules are, so I don't want to get you in any sort of trouble. But if there's any kids out there that are looking for advice, maybe they're in the same situation as you, and you might be able to mentor them a little bit. Where's the best place for people to reach out to you? I'm guessing Twitter.
Probably Instagram DMs or Twitter. I'm on Instagram a little more often, but yeah, please feel free to reach out. Anyone has any questions, want to ask anything. I love doing it. I love when people reach out, and I love being able to help people, even if it's with college recruitment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your handle? What's your handle?
Bryan Dowd, and it's Bryan with a Y.
That's pretty easy. And of course, Omar Zini, and no one needs his handle. Everyone knows his handle at Pro GK Academy _ on Instagram. Best place to reach out to Omar. At Saskia _ Weber for Saskia. If you have any guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, contact at inside the 18. That's the number 18 media.com, or you can DM us at Goalkeeper Podcast on all different social media platforms. And by the way, guys, if you're wondering how to get on the show, literally leave a review on iTunes. I will reach back to you and say, all right, what do you got for me? And that's how you get on the show, because that's what Dowd did right there. And that's how we got him on. But honestly,
Dowd, I kind of think he's like playing for Notre Dame in two sports and on the
national,
so.
that might have helped a little bit too. That might have been a little bit of a smidge too. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.
Good luck.
See ya.